Welcome to the 7 Cents Podcast, where we go beyond dollars and cents to unlock the mindset beyond the money.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Macklin, aka Money Mike, the financial Thanos, because I'm snapping my fingers and I'm turning your financial problems to dust.
And I'm Coach RL, your money mindset coach. Mind right, money right, legacy locked in.
Guys, this is not your average financial podcast. We're breaking down money myths, mindset traps, and economic game plans.
We keep it real, raw, and relevant, from micro money moves to macro financial shifts.
This is a 7 Cents podcast where your mind meets your money. All right, guys, welcome back. We are at part 2 of our 2-part series on the pressure to be everything when survival steals your peace. Now, our last conversation, part 1, if you haven't looked at that already, go back and check that out so that this part actually makes sense for you. But on the last discussion we had, Rob and I really dissected some of the aspects of these pressures to overachieve, to grind it out, to really get out here and get after it. And we talked about some key points as far as looking for validation, to finding your identity with the grind, how the grind can steal your joy. And the main thing that we took from that is the introspection of, okay, one, the validation is not something that is part of the process. And two, when you find yourself in that place, this is where, your social circle, your teams, different people in your life can help you pull yourself out of that guilt or that pressure and say, hey, listen, let's find a way to either one, help you feel a little bit better about this, or two, let's help you get past this rough patch that you in so that you can get to a better place. So we're going to pick up the conversation there. Rob, let's talk about how just the power of teams just drastically changes situations, and not just a team in the sense of a business, but team in your life. What do you think about some of those things, man?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important that everybody has a team, whether that team is your family, people within your network, or professionals. I found that, and you know me personally, and people that are listening to this, if you know me personally, you know that I pour and pour and pour into people. And because I pour so much, nobody ever says, "Hey, Rob, how are you doing?" And so I had to build a team of not only my mentors, but again, therapists and counselors as well. So whether it's my business counselor, my business coaches, my actual therapists, my doctors, I use that team to rebalance myself during that time. Now, initially I did start off with coworkers and for men. And let me take a step back because I want to talk to the men for a second. We have a really hard time at validating our feelings and having others validate our feelings and sharing our feelings, especially in the military.
Oh yeah. Oh my
Especially in
God.
the
Yes.
military. It's almost taboo.
Yes.
Almost taboo. But what I found, especially getting to these higher ranks where a lot of people haven't survived a grind like you survived the grind, especially when you get into, I would say that for me, it started happening 14, 15, 16 years. This is where you start to see your battle buddies all phasing out, and it's only like a small group of y'all left. And that small group of y'all left are just as beat up, just as mentally distraught, just as many deployments, and you start to actually bypass the jokes because a lot of times we suppress all of that with jokes and
Oh
being
yeah.
funny and calling it weird, but you start to realize that a lot of us deal with it. It's only a few of us left. Like, how do we deal with this? And you open up and you start to talk about those things, but being able to share where you are in your journey, because the grind is a journey, being able to share where you are in your journey with teammates, the right teammates, let me say that,
There you
share
go.
it with the right teammates will allow you to not only push through that piece of that hardship, but it also allows you to really find a sense of humility in the things that you're doing. I think it is crucial to start to build a network of support, whether they're supporting you and helping you mentally, spiritually, or physically. Build a network. And I'm absolutely. I think every time I say this, people be like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Really? Yeah, I am absolutely an introverted person. If it was up to me, I would be sitting on this couch that I'm sitting on right now, reading a book with the doors closed, probably the windows open, getting some fresh air with nobody bugging me. But the fact of the matter is, I got 8 kids, a wife, a business, and then the whole United States Army asking questions and wanting to hang out and socialize. And I really struggle with having people, but I've fought through that struggle. And I would just say to my introverts out there, fight through that struggle and get your network and get the support that you need. Get the support that you need.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
definitely one of those people as well. I'm also
yeah,
an introvert, so I know what you mean.
yeah, it's tough. I'm like, hey, we headed out tonight. And you're like, all right, y'all be safe. Y'all
All
be
right.
safe. Hit me up when you get home. Let me know you made it safe. But like, how hard have you found it to build your network or your team through your introversion?
I found it extremely hard, and the main reason I found it so hard, we talked about in part one, as far as I look back upon my earlier years in life, and I feel like life taught me the lesson that you got to look out for yourself. Nobody's coming to help you. Nobody cares. Figure it out. And it's funny you touched on it at the beginning when you were talking about the military culture. A common phrase that I heard in the military culture is "suck it up and drive on." You know what I'm saying? It's okay, yeah, this is happening to you, whatever, life is beating you up, but we ain't got time for that. We got things we got to do, the mission, whatever. So imagine going from childhood all the way through adulthood, because I came into the military when I was 17. So basically, I grew up in the military,
Right.
like from a boy to a man. And to basically from the age of 5 all the way up to the age of 38, 37 when I retired. Yeah, 37. When I retired, basically being given the message of, hey, look, figure it out. It's on you. Nobody's coming to help you. Get it together. So for me, that message stuck. Like it was like, look, it's on you. Figure it out. And that's how I approached everything, especially business. And I almost wore it like a badge of honor. It's like I
Mm,
almost told myself I can do it myself. I don't need nobody to help me with this. I can do it myself. And what I found, and there's a quote that actually supports this, it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, get yourself a team.
yeah.
And what I realized and what made me realize that is that as I was learning different things, I started to find out the things I just don't like to do. Like we talked about it, video editing. I liked learning how to do it, but I hate doing it. God, I hate editing videos because
Yes.
I'm such a perfectionist. I have a vision. I'm like, this is how I want it to look, that I will tinker and tinker and tinker until it's right. And this is hours and hours of time. And when you're trying to batch create, we're basically like you're trying to get multiple videos out there to be more effective. It's impossible if you're going to sit there and try to edit your videos. It's impossible. I don't care what nobody says. It ain't going to happen. If you don't get somebody to do that piece for you, you're going to waste so much time. And that is the lesson I started learning. So it started with a video editor, and
Mhm.
then I started looking at things like, okay, hey, a virtual assistant, because those little micro tasks that you think ain't nothing. Oh, it's okay. It's going to take me a couple minutes to do this. It'll take a couple minutes to do this. As they say in the financial world, pennies turn to dollars. You know what
Facts.
I'm saying?
Facts.
So little things, minutes turn to hours, hours turn to days, turn to weeks, turn to months. And you look up and you realize I haven't got shit done. Nothing. I'm looking 4 months back and I'm like, okay, I put out 5 videos this 4 months. I mean, that's crazy. Cause you sitting here, trying to focus on this task. And we do a lot of that in life in general. We
Yes.
waste so much time that we don't have because we won't just say, hey, listen, can you help me? And there's a huge amount of strength in that statement. The ability to come to someone and be vulnerable and say, hey, listen, I need some help. I don't know how to do this, or it's taking up too much of my time, or whatever. Please help me. And I got the virtual assistant, I got the editor. And as those things started to start clicking, I was like, oh my God, why didn't I do this like years ago? I'm like, dude, I feel like had I done this years ago, I'd probably be like a Myron Golden or somebody. Like I'd be
Yes.
out here less doing these amazing seminars or coaching things or whatever. But because I let that mindset slow me down so much, it's like you look back and you like, man, this is terrible. And what I'm gonna tell you is one of the worst pains that you ever gonna experience in life is the pain of regret. Cause I'm telling you, that thing stings like worse than whatever hardship you thought you was going through in that process. When you look back and realize that one, you didn't necessarily have to go through it, and you feel that regret, you just, man, why did I do this? And yeah, you have to nurture the mindset of teamwork makes the dream work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, so I just want to like capture, and I knew I could find it in my notes, right? So these are like some of the things that I do to really focus in on creating the best opportunities with my time. And this kind of goes back to like you hit a trigger where you're like, hey man, I'm sitting here editing this video, and then all of a sudden I start to, hey, here's a transition. Let me try to do this transition. And now all of a sudden you tested all 20 transitions. You try to clip out 20.45 of a piece of the clip, and then you try to
yes,
make sure it blends in well, and you look up and 2 hours is gone. The bigger step behind this that really blew my mind when I was doing these things is that video made me like $0. That video that I spent 3, 4, 5 hours with, it didn't go anywhere on YouTube. I done clipped out some clips and I made $12 on Facebook. I made the amount of time that I put into the project, I didn't get back what I needed. Now, as you see my social media now, I post often and frequent, and the other word is valuable content, right? I try to keep it valuable, and I'm not even afraid of what that looks like with the numbers and the likes and the engagements. What my focus usually is on the views, because and you probably know this, you don't know how many times that I've had videos with maybe 2 or 3 people that liked them, and then more, easily more than those people told me they either seen my video, they asked me about it, or they became a client or bought a product off of the video that I'm like, damn, only 3 people saw it. 3 people liked it. But that one 3 people like video probably made me easily 300, 400 to $1,000 easy. And there's been a couple of videos like that where I'm like, "Ah, I can't believe they still talking about that video and nobody liked it." But I wasn't worried about that. I just continue to pull out stuff and people see my stuff, and people sometimes, and I get it because I do it often. I'm sitting here watching somebody shit, and then all of a sudden it ends, and I just flip over. But I was so busy watching it, I didn't bother to engage or ask a question. And like it was good shit. And then I just went to
right,
the next one. And so I get it, but I get a lot of people like that. So what I started to find value in quality and volume in my videos. So I stopped editing them and I just put out a lot of stuff.
right,
But I just go over the ways that I set up to negate that grind, right? So the first thing I do is I have a master list of stuff, and usually that master list is on a whiteboard. And you can do this on a whiteboard, on a phone, or whatever. A lot of times I have it broken down because I have so many businesses. So I have a specific column for a task in each business or aspect. So whether it's the army, whether it's the kids, whether it's the homeschool building, whether it's the nonprofit, I have a task within that master list. Now I look on at the master list, and again, I wake up early in the morning, but I'll do this before I go to bed too. So before I go to bed, I look at the master list and I see what's a priority. I usually prioritize the urgent and important first. So if something needs to be done as soon as possible, or it's due tomorrow or next 5 minutes, those are the things that I'm more than likely going to put as a priority. Now, I limit myself to the priority and getting really deep into it. I also put a time. A lot of people don't do this. And I'll highly encourage you to look at that time, look at that task and give it a time block, right? Not necessarily do this at 2 or 3 o'clock because that's how you're going to fill in your calendar. And the next thing that I'm going to say, but the one thing that you do is you say, I need to email Brian 5 minutes because it's going to take me 5 minutes to email. I need to follow up with this person. All right, this is a 3 minute task. So now within an hour, I can build out, all right, what am I going to do for this next hour? So I got 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 6 minutes here. Now I can build out my priorities and know how much time is around about is going to take me. Then the second piece to this is that I do this in the evening and then I revalidate it first thing in the morning to say, hey, all right, these are the things that I'm focused on today. Everything else is going on the board. If it ain't due today or in the next 5 minutes, it just goes on the board. So I got a board with a shitload of tasks. Some things get done, some things don't. And then I start to realize the shit that been sitting there for the longest wasn't that important. It went on the board, but wasn't that important. But it helps me balance it out. And the second thing, again, I use time blocks or time hacks for tasks. So my first hour would be to review an emails, review my task for the day, check my emails. The next block might be just to respond and reply to emails, and then I reprioritize my emails that way as well. Next block is for physical fitness, personal hygiene, and then I go about my day block by block based off of the task that I have to do for a day. Time block your task. The biggest thing, the hardest thing to do is eliminate distractions. If I'm checking my email, I don't have my phone. If if I'm doing work or I'm doing something that involves reading, I don't listen to music because I can't focus, even if it's lo-fi. Well, other tasks, I listen to lo-fi. I don't listen to music with words because the words in the song mixes with what I'm looking at. But do your best to whatever your vice is and your distraction. A lot of times for me is music with words or phones. I eliminate those things while I'm doing those specific tasks. Shh, that's a good one too. We already talked about that one. But the last one, really just the 80-20 rule. So focus on 20% of your actions that produce 80% of your results. And so got that from that Dan Martell book. But looking at the perspective of the things that you're going to do, biggest thing to look at on a task board is what is urgent, important, and is going to give the biggest impact because the impact is what's going to produce either the income or the output of whatever it is that you're trying to do. For example, if I have emailed Brian, but Brian really ain't bringing me no money, and then I have on the calendar, hey, make sure you send Mike that schedule for the podcast, and then I have the client is booked, make sure you send him the what do you want slip. I'm probably going to do the what do you want slip first because I know that is going to be productive for the next meeting. Then I'll go into sending things to Mike because that's going to be productive for Mike. Then I'm going to look at Brian email when I got time because the me sending them an email is probably just information or something, and it may not produce as much as soon as the other things that I prioritize. So looking at what you have, and I think, oh man, my nose is itchy today. Looking at, don't even worry about editing that out. Everybody needs that laugh. But the one thing that we get so drowned into the grind is that we busy. So we just do busy work and then we don't produce anything out of that busy work. So actually stepping back and building in time for review and revise of that board is very important because you want to do things that are going to produce stuff. And then again, when I start finding piles of emails of email this person about this and that, I start realizing how more better it was for me to have a virtual assistant who can send those emails on my behalf. Because I would say, instead of me sitting there, now, mind you, I block out 5-10 minutes to send an email. Now I can just really, it's a 30-second task. Because basically I just take it from my task list and add it to my VA's task list. And that's gonna take me 2 minutes. And now I just got 8 minutes of back for my time. Yeah, those are just some of the things that I would recommend, because those are the things that I do and how I set up my time, and it helps me manage all of the stuff that I do way better, especially having my master list on a whiteboard, because it's easily accessible. And then for the day, I can take a picture of it. If you got an iPhone, you can copy and paste it into a note. And then if I need to add something to my note, then I can come back to my note and then update my board. And that's just what works best for me. Do you have any things that you use as far as breaking down time hacks and prioritizing what you need to do to kind of get rid of the busy work?
Yeah, and it's still a process. Everything is always a process.
Sure.
Is what they call it. You always improving the foxhole.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
you always improving the foxhole. For me, it echoes a lot of what you said as far as figuring out what's important, like what I really need to have happen and for greatest impact. But for me, my biggest part of it, and it just look, before y'all start judging me, it is what it is. But I look for who can help me I'll go get this done. Like, how much of this stuff can I actually give to somebody else? That for me is a high priority because look, and I'm sure I'm not the only person. So before y'all go looking at me some kind of way, y'all like this too. I don't like to use this word, but I'm gonna say it. I'm pretty lazy sometimes. Me and Rob talked about this as far as being introverted. What I like is the time to myself, like to sit down and work on me and to make sure that I'm the best possible version of myself so that when I do come out into the world and y'all see me, that I'm presenting my best self. And
Mhm.
so a lot of my time, especially lately, is into me, like pouring into me, self affirmations, the meditation, the just sitting in silence sometimes, the sitting down and reading, because Rob said that 80/20 rule is huge. And that little 20% that you do that produces those huge results, you can start to now you start to design your day to look like you want it to look. And you
Mhm.
start to enjoy that day now. Your day doesn't become this thing that as soon as you open your eyes, you like, oh my God, I got so much crap I gotta do. And I think Dan Martell mentioned it in a book. He was describing like how Oprah Winfrey's day kind of goes or whatever. And like when you look at her day, you're like, oh my God, her day is awesome. Like, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like she's doing all this cool stuff. And then like in between it, she like, okay, yeah, she'll do a little bit of work. And then the rest of the time, again, she goes back to doing awesome stuff. I try to mirror that. But for me, it's like the awesome stuff is like things that's going to help me lift myself up and get myself in good spirits so that the 20% of the time when I'm talking to an individual about their financial situation or whatever it is, that I have the mental energy to do that because they'll see that if you don't have the mental energy for it. You get on a client call and you got all this crap in your head, the energy is going to transfer over. You're going to be dry when you talking to them. A lot of things you going to miss because you got so much other stuff in your head. So for me, I really prioritize me in this stuff. And it may sound selfish, but as they say, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Facts.
So if I'm not in the place that I need to be to be a servant of the people, because that's what I am as a financial coach. I'm a servant of the people. Like I've already done what I've set out to do. So now it's time to give back to the universe, to the world, to other people. And so that's where my time goes. So to help facilitate that, a lot of the things that you mentioned is what I do. But the way I prioritize it, to be honest with you, is from the book Eat the Frog. And basically it's okay, the worst thing, just go on and get that one first. And so that's what I like to do is I like, okay. And for a lot of people, they may disagree with this. Sometimes the things that take the most time, I just like to do that first. And you know what I'm saying? Like now, okay, you got this huge like weight off of you. Now all that little stuff. Because for me, and I mentioned this earlier, that little stuff turns into big stuff. And now that big thing that you really needed to get done doesn't get done because you focus so much on that little stuff. So I'm like, okay, if only one thing gets done today, then it's going to be that big important thing that may take a while. But it was the most important thing. Now, the little stuff, okay, if it didn't happen today, like Rob said, okay, you put it into a little reminder or a note or write it down. Different people have different things. Some people need to see it. So sticky notes may be something that works for them. Excuse me. For me, it's just my calendar is like everything. Like it's my memory. Like my brain is my calendar now. It's okay. Like the podcast, everything like that. If it's not in the calendar, sorry, I
Forget about
forgot.
it. Yep, that's
Sorry.
me. That's me.
Whoops.
I can't tell you. If I didn't,
Yeah.
and 95% of the time, it'd be my fault too. If I didn't put it in my calendar, it never happened and it's not
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah. And one last thing I would say is the way that I do things, especially like reminders and stuff like that, I make sure I do it right now. Just do it right now because it's so easy to get lost in everything. You'll forget something and it may seem small, but that may be that 20% thing that you really needed to do that now that you could have took those 2 seconds to put that in your calendar or your brain as I call it, and now you've lost it. So the calendar is key, the time blocking is key, and focusing on what's most important to you is if to me is paramount. Do what's most important to you.
I would say my biggest takeaway is that do the big thing first, and I'll tell you why, right? 'Cause we didn't get into this, and again, this might be a good episode as well. We'll talk about it. This will be
Okay.
a good episode, but it's energy management, right? And so if you use your energy management, you will understand that you needed the most energy to do the big task, right? Because if you do the big task, then you use the best part of your energy that you built up to do that task. Then the
There
little
you go.
task you can weigh out. Now, if you did all of the little tasks first, you're using all of the energy that you needed to do the big task. And by the time you get to the big task, you're only 50% battery life because you did all of this work and now you have this big task. Depending on the value and the urgency of the big task, I would definitely say big task first, then get into the little task for sure, just because of energy management. But
No,
yeah,
I'm with you on
all
that.
of those solid answers. I definitely agree with a lot of what you said for sure. Especially, I think for me, my biggest takeaway was if I actually focused more time on me, that was the other thing, self-care. We didn't get into that. Self-care was probably the number one fix for the last two episodes that we're talking about. Focus on yourself, do your
Yeah.
self-care, and then it'll allow you to recharge and get back into the grind. But for sure, oh man, I'm about to go off on this self-care kick. But energy management was, like really just will put you over the top in really all of this energy management, self-care, but self-care allows you to do energy, focus on energy management, and then being able to manage your tasks. That's some of that's gold, bro. I ain't gonna hold you up. That's all
I
that's
appreciate that.
gold. I
Yes,
appreciate you
sir.
sharing. But I don't,
Oh,
I never think to take care of myself like that. Like I never think to like fully charge. And so that's why when you said it, I was like, if I actually fully, my therapist actually says this as well. Do you know if he keeps asking me, hey, when are you planning on going back on vacation like you did last time? I was like, I have never taken 7 days off of anything. So that was really hard for me. I left my work computer, I left my work phone. All I had was my travel phone. I talked to my family once a day, and that was it. It's funny enough, man. I enjoyed that trip so much. I was watching. You had Netflix.
yeah.
On
Yeah.
Netflix, it's a show called Beauty in Black. Right. This is when Beauty in Black like first came out, and I was like, I don't usually watch TV, but I got time, and I'm sitting in a different
Yeah.
country, and they ain't got much going on TV, but they got the Netflix account, and then Beauty in Black
Yeah.
came on, and I was like, Well, we about to binge it. So I end up binging that whole 7 days. I binged Beauty and Black in 2 days, and then I watched all the Mission Impossible movies. But it was good recharging time. I got to read. I got to sit in peace, fresh air, walk the beach. It was a good time to recharge. But you just saying, hey, I focus on me first, and then I give the rest back to the world. I'm charged at 100% when I do that, bro. And that was actually monumental to my thoughts and how I will approach it. Therapist, when next time you go on vacation? Mike said I gotta go soon, so I
Yeah, man.
appreciate
Should
it,
take that
brother.
vacation, brother. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah, because and it really came from a place of honestly, I experienced this. I started waking up and you just like, and it's gonna sound terrible, but it's you're not as grateful as you should be for waking up. You know what I'm saying? The ultimate gift that God can give you is just waking up. So for you to get up and the first thing that you thinking is something other than positive, that's a problem. That is a problem that has to be addressed. Because if you getting up already in the wrong place, you're setting the trajectory of your day. So you go already in a place, you already and that energy, I'm telling you, that's what you start pulling in. So, that's when the tire goes flat. That's when,
Yeah.
you late to something. That's when you end up in a traffic jam. That's when you drop your phone in the toilet or something. Or just all kind of crazy stuff because you started the day, you already started it wrong because you
Hmm.
didn't start with a place of gratitude. So that's what really made me start saying, you know what? Get you right first before you go out into this world.
Yeah. No, you hit two things that really resonates with me, especially in that realm. So the first thing, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit earlier, but when I say visualizing what you have the day prior, reorganizing your board allows you to have a visual structure of what's going to happen. And then cutting your brain off and then resting. Now, knowing what you're about to approach the next day because you already checked it out, you see what your tasks look like, and more stuff is happening. But it allows you to manifest better and be in control because you took control. And then the other piece to that is, again, talking about restructuring and reframing yourself and waking up. Instead of saying I have to, you say I get to, and that also brings that gratitude. And so you change your mind about how you approach those tasks when you get to instead of you have to, because somebody ain't get to this morning. And so those are I just wanted to piggyback off of
Right.
those two things to say, hey, absolutely starting your morning right absolutely change the whole trajectory of what your day is going to be because now you can manifest. I am strong. We will do this today. It's done. It's done. On top
Absolutely.
of I get to do it.
Rob, we talked a lot about, I feel like we mentioned a lot about business wise, how the teams is paramount. But let's start talking about a little bit about personal teams because
Mm,
let's face it, you shouldn't be doing business all day. If all you're doing is business, that's not a well rounded life. That's a life basically. That's another reason you start to hate those things is that if that's all you're doing and you're not focusing on the other aspects of your life, that one thing starts to take over and that's where the whole killjoy comes from. So aside from your business team, to have on your life team.
my life team is my family. I have a relatively large family. It's funny that you say that though, because my business is intertwined in all to all of my networks because we'll change this for this is gonna be a whole different episode, but I will tell you how I run my family. So I operate and not just me, my wife and I operate our immediate family as an organization, right? All of the kids have their roles within that organization. Within that, we also operate our homeschool as a organization. Our homeschool is an organization. We operate it like a school, like a business. when I talk to my cousins, sometimes it gets into the business realm because I'm their mentors and they're in some aspects business partners. So we have those conversations. But realistically, in these conversations, because business is happening all the time, I try to not overwhelm any conversation with just business. But really the aspect is checking up on your humans, man. Being That's what a good leader does, is check up on your humans. For my kids, because I have so many kids, I found this as another thing too. I have so many kids that we're always together collectively. So I always have to find time to individually take them out. So yesterday, me and the little brothers, we just went to the food court and got some French fries and candy. Me and the girls, we would just do a walk down the street and just chit chat and talk. And the girls are some chatty patty, so they give you all the tea about the neighborhood and everything. But like, it is important to have those networks outside of business. But because I operate everything as an organization, that it's a little bit different for me. Not necessarily, and again, like even with my mentors, when I talk to my mentors, I'm not talking to them. And I say they're my mentors, but they are my friends. They're my friends. They call me, they ask me how my wife's doing, they ask me how my family's doing, they invite me to the cookout. We'll go to the bar. They're my friends. But they have been places where I want to be. And so we don't talk down to the details of, hey, my P&L had a loss of 500. Those are not the conversations we have. Is The conversation is, hey, how can I better manage my time? How can I better become a better father while doing this? And it leans a little bit away from the business aspect. But and I think I said, I don't know if this was this episode or the last episode, and how men really don't address their feelings, but I am intentional about, in my network outside of my business partners, to specifically address feelings. And not address, but it is address. It's address and validate all feelings in every conversation. And so most people may know this. When I reach out to them, I will say, hey, how are you doing? And you might say, good. And I say, temperature check on your feelings. How are you feeling? Because just because I'm doing good doesn't always mean I feel good. And so I try to do a temperature check intentionally, even with the army being taboo and all my battle buddies. If I call you on the weekend, no, I love you because I'm super busy. But I'll call them and I'll just say, hey man, how are you feeling today? Because, and then the other thing is, I was thinking about you. It's very important because in this time, people really don't give a shit. And it's okay because life is life, right? I gotta take care of me. And just like you said, I gotta take care of me before I do anything else. But from that aspect, me just checking up on you and showing you I care, because I genuinely do, allows you to at least cut that part off in your brain and say, damn, at least somebody care. But it's because I do care. But just call people, check up on them, and then see how they're feeling. How they're feeling. Because sometimes I'm direct, man. How are you doing mentally? That's a very different question than how you doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just building a network of people who want to be accountable for your feelings and your mental health. That's why I like to surround my people around. Now, when I say I operate with my cousins and my brother and people in a business aspect, those are the things that I focus on in those conversations. How you doing? How you feeling? And then we can get into the money talk later, or if you need some advice or anything like that, I can pour into you all day. But I definitely want to make sure you're doing good upstairs. That's because that's where life does most damage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's transition into next week, man. Next week we can probably have some more bangers for them for sure. I hope they got a lot of stuff to add in their two bag from this conversation. And Mike, these are getting better, man. Week by week, these are just getting better. And I
No,
truly
I feel the
appreciate
same
you
way.
for wanting to jump on and do this with me. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, it's crazy because I had this idea, like, as soon as we had that first conversation, when we called and we talked for 2 hours, and I was like, damn, you was like, hey, can I record this? And then by the time it was done, I was like, man, that was like 4 episodes of a podcast, bro. let's just have our weekly calls and record them. Let's do it. And this project is turning out to be very good for my mental health, and it's a good brain dump, and I truly appreciate that, brother.
No, absolutely. And I was gonna say that because I asked the question about who outside of your business partners and stuff like that really helps. And for me, like I said, my network of friends and like this project, for instance, is something because it's something that I love. It's something I'm very passionate about, having these conversations. Well, the whole point of the 7 Cents podcast is we getting in here.
Yeah.
Financial literacy, when you really look at it, it's more mental than anything. The steps are the steps. Anybody can do the actual steps because it's not really that difficult. It isn't. The difficult part is in here. The things that you say to yourself, the feelings that you have, the programming that's in there that prevents you from doing exactly what you know you should be doing.
Absolutely.
And so this is where, for me, having this forum to, talk to the people and bounce ideas across each other as well, because a lot of times when we're doing the podcast, my mental Rolodex in my head is processing this stuff. I'm like, oh man, hey, you could be doing this, or this is a thought, or this is how you can grow this, or whatever. And tying this into what this episode is all about, the power of those people outside of yourself, and those, and not even necessarily people all the time. Sometimes it's the activities that you do outside that make you feel better, feels good. For instance, again, we talked a lot about the grind and how it just wears you out, and how sometimes just maybe taking yourself out to a movie or go on a staycation. Like, you don't even have to leave town. Go to a hotel and just chill out. You know what I'm saying? Just go there by yourself, do the things you like to do. Maybe if you one of them people that's big on fitness and stuff, man, order a pizza that day. You know what I'm saying? And just chill out for a day and relax and take some of that pressure off of yourself and just enjoy life. Because let me tell you something. Again, we talked a lot about the sting of regret. You only get one chance at life. You only get one. That's it. And if you are giving away so much of your most valuable asset, and that's time, if you giving so much of that away to the negative things, you're gonna miss out on the most positive thing there is. And that's life.
Facts.
And you don't get that back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And
That's
so
it.
hopefully, if nothing else, if you don't remember nothing else from this podcast, remember that life is your most precious gift. And so you want to spend exponentially more time in a space of gratitude, in a space of enjoyment, in a space of happiness than you do in those obstacles, those small things. Because realistically, most of those things are small in the grand scheme of, okay, life in general is just beautiful. The opportunity, like you said, when you woke up this morning, there was literally hundreds or thousands of people that didn't. So be grateful in that and go into the world with a vigor, a attitude of gratitude, and just see how differently your day goes when you go into your day with a better mindset and a better outlook on the fact that you even here, despite of that little stuff. Okay, you might got a little bit of debt on you. Okay, you and your girl might be arguing. You and your man might be arguing. Whatever. Okay, these things can be fixed. I'm alive. Every day I'm alive is an opportunity to make this the greatest day of my life.
I love
Boom.
it. Love it. I love it. That's 100%, man. I don't have to. I get to.
There you go.
All right, fellas, ladies, till next week, we will holler at you.
Y'all take care of yourselves, man. Peace.
Go. You just tapped into the 7 Cents, where the mind meets the money and the legacy gets built.
It's your boy Money Mike, the financial Thanos, snapping one myth at a time and leaving no financial lies standing.
And I'm Coach RL, Mind Right, Money Right, Legacy Locked In. If today's episode gave you game, make sure you rate, review, and share it with someone.
Hey, follow us on all platforms and keep the conversation going, guys. DM us your questions, your myths, and your money wins.
Until next time, think deeper, move smarter, and keep building.
This is the 7 Cents Podcast. We out.